A gentleman. How he treats a lady. My lessons about how to treat a lady started at a very young age. My very earliest memories were filled with mental pictures of my dad opening the door for my mother and grandmother, as well as being very protective of them. As I go through the mental exercises of trying to remember my childhood, the pictures don't start showing up on the screen of my mind until somewhere around age 4 or 5. My dad, I was told, was a healthy young man, played football and golf, and enjoyed hearty work outside. That was until he went away to fight in World War II and spent time in India and Burma in the army. During his time in the service, he contracted malaria, and when he came home, he wasn't able to do physical labor for several years. Without a college degree, a privilege afforded to a select few in the 1940s, he struggled with how he would be able to make a living. He practiced these principles. A gentleman treats a lady with honor. A gentleman always opens doors for a lady, even the car door. A gentleman always has an umbrella ready to keep a lady out of the rain. Residing in an area of the United States where the main vocation for young men was working in agriculture or the oil fields, he was desperate to find a way to make a living. I'm not exactly sure how the next phase of his life happened, but in an effort to seek a vocation that he could work inside and at the same time make a living to support himself, he traveled to the Fort Worth, Texas area and started studying to be a beautician, a profession now known as a hairstylist. During that time, he met my mother at a beauty school and they married. They moved back to the panhandle of Texas and opened a beauty shop, working side by side, cutting and styling ladies' hair. Being the only man in that part of Texas with that trade, he was in great demand. With the 1940s oil boom in full force, the money was flowing, and he had women coming from 2 and 3 counties away and some as far away as Oklahoma to have him style their hair on a regular basis. Their business flourished, and within a few years they built another larger beauty shop in a more affluent part of their city. About the time they were moving to the new location is where my memories started. My lessons about how to treat ladies weren't learned in school, but rather in the classroom of life. At the same time that I was riding my Schwinn bicycle all over town, playing cops and robbers, or army in the yard or playground with my friends, Dad required me to clean up and visit the La Bonita beauty shop, and help the older ladies to their cars and always to hold the door open for them. I was given lots of responsibilities early in life. It was my first non-paid job to attend to the needs and safety of the older ladies at the beauty shop. It was there that I had my early lessons about being kind to others and being a help to the ladies around me. Always practice these rules. A gentleman always walks between the lady and cars on the sidewalk. The gentleman is always attentive to a lady's needs for security. A gentleman will never, under any circumstances, push or hit a lady. Never. During those days, I remember that business was so good that my grandmother moved from the oil fields into our house for weeks at a time to help with the demands of running a prosperous business. She and my grandfather Pop later moved to our city and had a house of their own. My grandmother was Nan. I affectionately gave her that name since that is the responsibility of the firstborn grandchild in the family, right? She was my favorite grandmother, and I was her favorite grandchild, at least for the first 7 years, until my sister appeared on the scene. It was my duty to take Nan on a date every week to the local movie theater. I would be her date, escort, protector, and a little bit of her project. Well, maybe her project was a lot bigger part of the outing, always getting instructions from her about how to look out for others, especially the other older ladies who would often join us for that outing. For years, the beauty shop had a small Merle Norman studio, and it was her job to do facials and sell the products. Most of the time, when we went to the movies, I would remember her wearing that pink Merle Norman uniform with her name embroidered on it. For the younger generation, Mary Kay was not the first pink company. They were just the first one to have a superior marketing and distribution plan. She was proud of her job and profession, and I wasn't the least bit embarrassed by her wearing that uniform. It was all a learning experience. More principles to practice. A gentleman should never be alone in a private room with a lady other than his wife or mother, possibly sister or daughter. It is important to protect her reputation. A married gentleman never travels alone in a car with a lady who is not his wife, mother, sister, or daughter. If a gentleman is struck by a lady, he merely walks away. As I grew up into my teens and got actively involved in sports, hunting, fishing, water skiing, and many other aspects of life, we moved to the country to manage and live on a 1,600-acre property that contained a 500-acre lake. That was truly a million-dollar experience for a maturing young gentleman. I vividly remember one of the holidays when the whole family was at the lake property with us. We had a very fast go-kart that I talked my grandmother into driving. Being the young gentleman, I pushed the go-kart to start Nan on her way and attempted to jump on the rear of the go-kart to take care of her. About that time, her lead foot put the accelerator to the floor, and the go-kart went so fast it threw me off on the paved road at about 20 miles an hour. I went rolling head over heels. I was cut up, dinged up, and bleeding when she drove the go-kart back to my location and asked what happened to me. She was so sorry for causing me all that pain, but she often talked about the go-kart ride in future conversations, all the way to the end of her days here on Earth. There are many ways to respect and care for a lady. The following are just a few additional ways to do that. It has been said that the most romantic thing a gentleman can do for his wife is wash the dishes. Yes, the dishes. A gentleman should be willing to lay his life down for his wife. A gentleman will never take advantage of a lady. Never, ever. Follow these simple rules, and your life will be more successful. Subscribe to this channel for more success tips coming soon.